Welcome back to Bears Talk today, where we didn't win. You know, it was a I don't know. I feel like this game going in, you had to look at it either two sides. We at least held the second seed thanks to the Eagles, or that was a horrendous game that we probably could have won.
Yeah.
But
Good thing it wasn't the playoff game, though.
no, right? Hey, that's
move.
all I'm saying.
We move.
We ball, Mike. So obviously yesterday, we lost a close one to the Lions, 19-16, at home. Last, regular season game of the 2025 or 2025-2026 NFL season. Obviously, we lucked out. The Eagles, rested their starters against their game and the Commanders, and the Commanders actually won a game. Wow, how shocking is that?
Shout out Josh Johnson, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
Free beers and drinks in
For
Chicago.
Portillo's for a year, man.
Portillo's, there we go. Yeah. But Mike, there was a lot to dive into this game, and let's first start off with this defense, man. What do you feel like? What is like your biggest concern about this Bears defense, and what did you see last night from them?
My biggest concern is the pass rush.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just getting no pressure. I understand the Lions have a good offensive line, and I understand last week that the 49ers, have been playing good offense, but this defensive line has been putrid for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you can be in the playoffs. You don't have to be great in every area.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can be putrid in one specific area to have sustained success. And that's what really worries me about the Bears, is that one of the most important things about your football team is the defensive line and how they're able to affect the offense, stop the run, pressure the quarterback. And the Bears defensive line is doing none of that right now. Another thing that really concerned me yesterday specifically was the coaching.
Yeah.
I was befuddled that they kept running man coverage. And the Lions were saying, okay, well, we're just going to run crossing routes. We're going to run in breakers. And Jared Goff's going to have, all the time in the world to sit back there and dissect this defense in man coverage. I think man coverage would have been the move if they were getting pressure and they were moving Jared Goff off his spots and messing up the rhythm of the offense. They were doing no such thing. So
Yeah.
I think if you're the Bears, you have a schematic problem right now, but you also have a personnel problem with the defensive line because they are not affecting the game whatsoever. And to me, that's really concerning, because it's not like we have a guy coming back from injury. We have a guy a rookie who's getting better and better and better. There's no reinforcements really coming for this D-line. I know, Dio Dangbo wasn't very good this year before he got hurt. Grady Jarrett's kind of been a non-factor. Montez Sweat has had a few moments here and there. Definitely not the premier pass rusher that we had hoped he'd been.
Yeah.
Austin Booker has come back, and yes, he's made a few plays. I'd hardly call him, a menace on the defensive line so far, but this is, to me, is a very concerning thing. We saw it in San Francisco, and we saw it again yesterday. The defensive line right now for the Bears is really, really bad.
Yeah, I just, I think Mike said a lot of the things that I noticed in the game yesterday. I just felt like it was just uninspired. I think definitely, coming into this, we knew what we had to do. Obviously, Eagles helped us out a lot, but, I think being able to get a win over your division rival and, to, help out Ben Johnson, avenge his former team, I just felt like it was overall, I felt like Amon-Ra St. Brown just ran across the field and did what he wanted. I feel like CJ Gardner Johnson. I just felt like he got destroyed each play.
Yeah, he did.
I felt like he just was not able to cover him. I also feel like Jalen Johnson as well.
Yeah,
he did not have a good game. I don't know if he's fully healthy or if he's still kind of getting his reps in from injury. I just felt like there was so much that went wrong on the defensive end. I mean, give credit to Caleb in the offense. I mean, to still be able to keep up with this game and at least tie it to 16. I mean,
yeah, and that's kind of the beauty of this Bears team. Like in a funny way, the Lions. I mean, Jared Goff had 330 passing yards. They averaged 4.5 on the ground, and they only scored 19. And the Bears did just enough for the first three quarters of that game to keep it close enough. I mean, it was 16 points. It was a two-score game going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
To where when they turned it on offensively and they went bang, 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 big play, touchdown, 2-point, touchdown, 2-point. How is the game tied? How is it 16-16 now with like 3 minutes left in the game? And that's kind of ironically the beauty of the Bears is that they always kind of do just enough.
Yep.
They do just enough to keep it close. Their defense, maybe gets. They don't stop them necessarily from marching down the field.
Right.
They keep them to a field goal, and they clamp up in the red zone. And then Caleb is able to make some plays and keep it a good game. This game, Bears felt like had all the momentum late in the fourth quarter with the Bears scoring 16. It felt like in the blink of an eye, it was incredible. And then that last drive, they go 3 and out. Caleb gets the intentional grounding, which I didn't necessarily think was intentional grounding, but that's what it is. And then the Lions were able to, again, march down the field, and the Bears could not keep them out of field goal range. Kind of surprised Ben didn't call that last timeout. But again, it's not a decision we necessarily. This isn't like a Matt Eberflus on Thanksgiving situation.
No, not at all, man.
The Bears benefited from the Eagles not playing their starters, and by definition, the Commanders winning and giving the Bears the number 2 seed. So this game, for all intents and purposes, does not matter.
No,
does not matter. But I do think that there is an element, Justin. You talked about this off camera, where the Bears have to realize we got to tighten some stuff up.
We do.
We cannot go 3 quarters with mediocre offense and then turn on the fourth quarter and expect to be successful in the playoffs. Our defensive line cannot generate 0 pass rush all game. I was telling you this yesterday, Justin, because we ended up watching the game together. I said I don't even care if Dennis Allen just sends like the kitchen sink on a blitz.
Yeah.
And if a guy's open downfield, guy's open downfield. But we have to do something to throw off the timing of the quarterback. This is getting ridiculous. So maybe this game is a wake-up call for the Bears. Maybe it's just the slap on the wrist they needed right before going into the playoffs, where if they put up a performance like this, their season's over. I do think that the Bears can have some success in the playoffs, but again, if they play like they played yesterday, it's not going to be good. So hopefully this is kind of a motivating factor for the Bears going into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, and that kind of goes into my next question of, if you're Dennis Allen, what are you telling your defensive guys right now? What changes are you making as a coach, if there's any changes that could be made during this time?
Well, first of all, I'm eliminating all man coverage.
Yeah, delete the whole playbook.
And we'll talk about the Packers specifically in the next in the next segment that we're going to talk about. But Jordan Love, I think, is an excellent quarterback. I really do. I think he's really, really good. You cannot give him all that time with guys running crossers just wide open. Yeah. I think to some degree you have to play zone. You have to kind of step into a throwing lane and confuse Jordan Love with some of your back coverage stuff. I think man coverage should be very seldom in this game. I also think, like I said, you need to send some blitzers. Yeah. Because the fact of the matter is they are not getting home with 4. They're not even getting home with 5. You gotta play the numbers game and send more pass rushers than they can block. Yeah. Hopefully a guy breaks through, hopefully whatever. Even if he doesn't, though, if Jordan Love just has to scramble out of there and get off of the very kind of timing routes that they have and what they want to do, disrupt him by any means possible. So what I'm telling the guys is, hey, flush last week. They only let up 19 points, which you're like, oh, that's not bad. The Lions should have scored about 40. That was not a game where they should have been held under 20. They also missed a field goal earlier. So I'm telling the guys, hey, we're going to switch it up this week. We're going to run some exotic stuff. We're going to try to confuse Jordan Love. Maybe we give up some big plays, but we'll also make some big plays, because outside of the Kevin Byard interception, that was a tip at the end of the fourth quarter, Bears defense did not make any big plays in this game. It felt like the Lions got every third down. It felt like the Lions were hitting big plays left and right. It just was not – the Bears defense gave the offense no momentum up until the very end. So I'm telling the defense, hey, we're switching it up. We're going to try some exotic stuff. Yeah, we might get beat over the top once or twice, but we got to make some big plays. We got to help out our offense this week.
Yeah, and I think you said it perfectly, right? The biggest thing is going to be the concern of how can we be able to get pressure, and I feel like when you look at yesterday's game against the Lions, you saw a team that got a lot of yards after catch. You saw a team that was not able to. You saw a defense that was not really able to pressure Jared Goff, especially when it was kind of early. In the first and second quarter. I mean, him and St. Brown were just hit, play after play after play, and Amon-Ra St. Brown was able to run another 5-10 yards to extend it to another first down. So you really have to look at, and I feel like the few times that we actually didn't go for man is when we pressured Jared Goff, and we were able to like it. I think was it in the fourth quarter when we had the tip drill interception?
Yeah.
We bounced it off. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And I think in that game, I don't know what was going through Dennis Allen's head, but I do know that he knows from now on, especially playing a team like that, you can't expect to run the same play over and over and over again and expect a different result.
And to be clear, like, by no means am I saying that the Bears defense needs to play like Seattle did last night or a couple nights ago against the 49ers, where they're just suffocating them and only allowing 3 points. That's not the Bears defense. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
What the Bears defense can do, though, is maybe they give Jordan Love 20 points, but they get a couple interceptions.
Right.
Or they force a fumble. Or when the offense has some momentum, they get a big third down stop. That's the kind of defense that the Bears need to play.
Yeah.
And they really didn't yesterday. 433 yards to the Lions. Lions were 6 of 13 on third down. They had 35 minutes of possession time. The one saving grace for the Bears was the Lions were 1 for 4 in the red zone. And we're going to talk about Green Bay in a second. That's going to be a huge key for the Bears defense. But right now, optimism levels are not high regarding this Bears defense. Justin, last question regarding this game as we kind of head into the playoffs. What do you think the Bears' ceiling is going into the postseason? Are they a Super Bowl contender? Are they a team that could make it to the NFC Championship game? Are they a team that's not going to win the first round? What do you kind of think that their ceiling is so far this year?
Yeah, man, I think their ceiling for me, and I feel like this is as realistic for me, not and because I could be the what is it, the bandwagon Bears fan this season and be like, we're going all the way. I don't think we're going to go all the way, but I feel like their ceiling is the NFC Championship game, and here's why. My biggest fear are the number one team that I'm afraid of, if I'm the Bears, is going to be Seattle. Their defense is polarizing, and really, if you look at their whole entire season, there hasn't really been a game this year when Seattle has really been shut out, or they've had a game when they've been. I feel like there hasn't been a team so far that has really exposed their defense and has shut them down on offense.
Stafford did once, but that's Stafford. I mean, he's going to do that every once in a while.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So I think when you look at this number one seed, they're kind of relaxing this week. That's the team where we're not going to have that home field advantage, right? We're going to be in Seattle, and I feel like that's going to be a tough one to overcome or even try to win. So I think their ceiling is the NFC Championship. I think they do. I have to look at the bracket, but I think whether if it's an NFC West team or go ahead.
You think they beat the Rams?
Oh yeah,
in the NFC Championship game.
Oh yeah, because it'll be here, 100%.
Okay.
And I
so
think
your
that's
justification is Seattle's defense and the game being in Seattle is why you don't think the Bears would win. But in Chicago against the Rams defense that isn't as good, you'd think the Bears could win that game.
For sure. I think the playoff energy is going to be different in January. First home playoff game in what? 5 years? Yeah,
2020? No, because 2020 was in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So, yeah, since 2018.
So, yeah, almost.
Dude, we haven't won a playoff game in 15 years.
Yeah, 2011. That's, man, time to be alive as a Bears fan.
Ironically, the 2010 was the last time we played the Packers in the playoffs. But to get to this question first, I agree with you in the sense that I think Seattle's a horrible matchup for the Bears.
Yeah.
Just because number one, who's going to cover JSN?
Yeah.
Number two, you're right. Their defense is incredible. The game would be in Seattle. Yeah. That would be a really, really tough environment for the Bears. But we talk about other teams, obviously like a team like the Rams. The Rams, I think, pose a different challenge for the Bears, but yet one that they would probably like more. I think the Bears would rather say, hey, we want to win in a shootout than we do in a defensive battle like it would be with Seattle.
Yeah.
We saw them with San Francisco. They were this close to beating them 45-42, right? And that would be kind of the similar game to what the Matthew Stafford Rams would bring to Chicago.
Yeah.
Now, the weather in Chicago would be an interesting factor. I felt like this year it's been abnormally warm here in Chicago. It's like 40 degrees today on January 5th, which is crazy.
Yeah.
If any of those West Coast teams, meaning the Niners or the Rams, come to Seattle or come to Chicago, I want -7 degrees. I want 40-mile-an-hour winds. I want snow because I don't know that they'll be able to handle it like the Bears will in Chicago. The Iceman, Caleb Williams, might outduel Matthew Stafford being in those conditions. So I think I agree that the NFC Championship game is the ceiling for the Bears. But I will say, they're ahead of schedule.
Way ahead of schedule.
To be clear. Like, us lamenting the defense and us saying that they're probably not going to win the Super Bowl this year is not, crazy. And it is in no way a criticism of Ben Johnson or Caleb Williams or the staff. The Bears are 100% ahead of schedule. I mean, they won 11 games this year. They won the NFC North in Ben Johnson's first year. They get this number 2 seed in the playoffs. They're going to host a playoff game against the Green Bay Packers. And for us to be talking in January like the Bears could potentially go to the NFC Championship game is just such a testament. So regardless of what happens the rest of the way, Ben Johnson has done a phenomenal job this year. And again, this is year 1. It really should only go up from here.
It's true.
All them draft picks, though. Defense, and more defense.
Lock in.
We good on offense.
Yes.
Colston Loveland, my boy. Hey,
Go.
I didn't like the pick at the time.
Yeah.
He's coming on, man. He's doing really, really well. 91 yards yesterday.
Yeah.
But, yeah, to be clear, I don't think the Bears' defense right now is good enough. I don't think their defense is championship caliber just yet.
Not yet.
Just yet. So, you're right. Could they, and maybe we'll talk about next week who they would play. I don't want to go and say, after we beat the Packers, we'll play this team.
No,
then you have to predict like 3 games at a time.
Yeah, one
game at a time.
Yeah.
Next week we'll talk about the opponent when the Bears beat the Packers.
Exactly.
When. So, yeah, Justin, I mean, I think that's a really good segue into talking about Bears versus Packers. Roger Goodell has to be absolutely licking his chops. This game is going to generate like 40 million live viewers. The ratings are going to be incredible. I was kind of surprised, though, really quick, for 2 things. I was kind of surprised, number 1, that the game was on Saturday. I would have thought they wanted Bears-Packers Sunday night, but that's just me, whatever. And I'm also kind of surprised that Amazon got the game. I would have thought Fox or whatever, because I feel like Tom Brady, all of our big games this year have been called by Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So, it's whatever. I do think the shorter week does help the Packers. They rested their starters this week. I know they've been banged up, but they did get that extra week of rest. The Bears just played a tough divisional game against the Lions. Now they play on a short week. And I know, you're like, why are you complaining Saturday versus Sunday? Well, 1 day in the NFL, I mean, that's a lot of recovery time in there, right?
Yeah.
And I think that this could be the difference between having or not having a guy like Rome Odunze, which would be huge. We haven't seen him for about a month. So maybe I'm being hyperbolic. Maybe he's going to play. Maybe he would have played yesterday if it was a playoff game. Who knows? But I do wish that the Bears had that extra day of rest. But Saturday, 7 o'clock on Amazon, Bears versus Packers. Just the 3rd time that the Bears and Packers have played each other in the playoffs. Last one was 2010 NFC Championship game. The Packers won and went on to win the Super Bowl. And the time before that, Justin, do you know when it was? 1941.
No wonder
1941, the last time the Bears-Packers faced each other in the playoffs prior to 2010. The Bears won that one, just
didn't
so we're
even
clear.
exist during that time. Crazy.
No, I don't think a lot of our relatives existed either.
No.
World War II is about 4 years away from being concluded. So that tells you about how long it was ago.
Yeah.
But, Justin, talk to me about just kind of what this game means for the Bears, how they can beat the Packers for the 2nd time this year, and what kind of the strategy needs to be going into this game if they're going to advance to the divisional round of the playoffs.
I think it starts with number 1 of let's look at the last 2, because I saw a lot of comments on our socials about how, the Bears are obviously going to, you have the Packers trolls in the comments. I would say overall, if you're looking at this season, not historically, we went toe-to-toe with this team. I think everyone forgets that 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were literally an interception away from winning that game. And then obviously you had the earlier this month or last month in December of the, the overtime game, Caleb ices it, we win and stuff like that. All the Packers fans are like, oh, Malik Willis, you didn't have Jordan Love. Well, Jordan Love will probably play on Saturday. So just book it. Yeah, he the starters are going to be healthy. I know they just signed, is it Trayvon Diggs?
Trayvon Diggs, yeah.
They signed Trayvon Diggs, right? So they are wanting to throw the kitchen sink with us. Not with us, but at us. But
yeah.
Overall, I think the biggest, key to this game is come out the same way you came out against San Francisco, the same way you came out against these other teams that you put points on the board early. It's going to be a shootout. I'm not saying that our defense can improve in about 6.5 days, but it's highly unlikely, or I feel like it's going to be a small improvement. I would be so grateful and happy if it was a large improvement of, We shut Jordan Love down. We pressure him, sack him a few times, get some interceptions, but I just don't know if that'll happen. I think the biggest key out of all of this, Mike, is we got to be healthy. We have to be fully healthy.
Yeah.
And you have seen earlier this season, I think we've both seen, when you're missing your Romes, when you're missing a couple of linemen, when you're missing a Jalen Johnson, like that stuff is,
it adds up.
It adds up,
100%.
and especially when you have a team that's coming off, they're well rested. They haven't played in almost 2 weeks. You hope that there's a little bit of rust there, but they're probably practicing just like if they're actually in the game. Game management.
Yeah.
So if you are the Chicago Bears, you are going to have to, I would say they were really, really good, especially in that previous game that was at home. They got to run the football.
Yeah.
I feel like even I know we didn't talk about the run game a little bit in, the Lions recap, but it just didn't. I think what Swift held.
Did they average like 3 yards a carry? It was kind of sad.
It was very sad.
Yeah.
I feel like that will be another X factor this playoff run. How well can we use our run game, and can our run game be effective? Because not saying that Caleb can't make those throws, because last season it was like, oof, he's dropping a lot of them. Caleb's accurate. I feel like he has those questionable throws every now and then, but I don't know if his completion was 70% this year, but I'm pretty sure it was something close
58.
to it. Oh, jeez. Well, I mean,
yeah. It was, honestly, I looked it up today too, and I was like, that's a lot lower than I would have thought.
Yeah.
So I think I'm thinking the same way with you, but 58's not good.
It's not good, but it's an improvement from last year, which, his second year, I feel like he's going to make his way up. But yeah, I feel like that's the biggest focus on this team is we got to have our run game be on point. We have to be aggressive with that. I think when it comes to our passing game, I'm not worried about that. Even if we do get off to a slow start, we've seen time and time again we've been able to tie it up or get right back into it. But I feel like if we're able to when the passing game is not elite and we're able to run the football a little bit and we're in the red zone and just run a little quick play up the middle, touchdown, I think that's what we need in this game. I think that will be the determining factor. Unless we just have an immaculate passing game and Caleb, goes for 400 yards. I think our run game is going to be our bread and butter, and I think we have a nice dual threat, in Monangai and Swift that can really cause, havoc and damage. We forget, the Packers are mostly healthy, but they don't have Micah Parsons, and you kind of saw that in the overtime game, last month. So I think we need to continue to, keep exposing that interior defense of the Packers in order to get the win. Also, as well, this is a side note, I think when you look at this year's Chicago Bears, we're very similar, not team-wise, but to the Commanders of last year. Remember, they had a bunch of last-minute, late-game wins, and they were able to ride that momentum all the way to the NFC Championship, which they had no business being in. I didn't think the Commanders would be in the NFC Championship last year, but they were. So,
we just said the Bears' ceiling is the NFC Championship.
We did, yeah. And that's honestly what made me think of that is looking at that team last year as a side note. But, yeah, Mike, what are your thoughts? What do you think is the key to winning the game?
So I think what you mentioned at the end, Micah Parsons not being in, both of the Bears' games – I'm sorry, the game that they won was both at home and without Michael Parsons.
Yeah.
And that's what we're getting on Saturday.
Pretty much.
So I think those two factors are huge for both of the teams. Looking at the Vegas odds and what the bookies are saying, this game's a pick 'em.
Yeah.
This is pretty 50-50. So there is no kind of favor to one side. Obviously, the Bears have an advantage being at home. Packers are probably the better team. I did have a graphic here to show you guys about some kind of the interesting dynamics between the Bears and the Packers. Obviously, the Bears are 11-6. Bears average a little bit more points per game. Third down rate, the Packers are a little bit better. But I think the big takeaway, see what I did there?
Yeah.
For this one, Justin, is the takeaways and the giveaways for the Bears.
Yeah.
The Bears have 33 takeaways. They're the best team in the NFL in that regard. They also have only given the ball away 11 times. Also best in the NFL. Red zone rate also, favors the Bears just slightly. Team DVOA does favor the Packers. But again, I think the big key, and when you look at the stat breakdown of these teams, they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a team that is so dominant in so many more areas than the other. But that takeaway and giveaway margin, we've talked about it all year, Justin. That is going to be the key for the Bears.
It is.
Is Jordan Love going to throw a couple interceptions in this game? and is Josh Jacobs going to fumble, whatever, right? Those are the plays that the Bears defense needs to make, not only to thrive but to survive.
Yeah.
Because like we said, we're not going to pull like what Seattle pulled the other day against San Francisco and just suffocate the offense. That's not going to happen. That's not who we are. What we need to do is make some big plays. So to me, that's the key in this game. Also, I want to see the Bears play like they did in the fourth quarter last night.
Yeah.
In every quarter.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about like, oh, I want Caleb to throw 2 touchdowns every quarter. That would be, by the way, feel free to do that, Caleb, if you want. But what I mean by that is just the sense of urgency they play with, the precision, the locked in nature of what they were last night. Like it feels like when it's the fourth quarter, they just go into that mode and they are just a different team. And it's felt like that not just yesterday, throughout the entire season. I mean, that's why they have 6 comebacks when they're down with 2 minutes left in the game. That is the kind of team that they are. Last night, obviously, they were down 16 going in the fourth. They scored 16 like that and then obviously lost on the field goal. But this is a team in the Bears. The way they play in the fourth quarter is they play like the best team in the NFL.
They do.
They need to keep that for multiple quarters. I want to see a 60-minute complete football game where, again, maybe Caleb doesn't throw. I'm not saying Caleb has to throw for 500 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But I want to see the urgency. I want to see the precision. I want to see Ben Johnson dialing up his good plays. I want to see that throughout the entire game.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's what's going to be key for the Bears in this game. Turnovers, win that, and then can they play with a sense of urgency? Can they play with the sense of every drive is important?
Yep.
It feels like to me a lot of times in these games they waste drives.
They do.
Especially in like the first couple quarters, waste drive, whatever. Third, we go 3 and out. We kind of some weird play calls, whatever. And then boom, second half, different team. In the first Packers game, that was the case. And the offense did they even get off the bus in Green Bay for the first half? I don't think so. Second half, they were elite. They were marching down the field, bang, 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 bang. And then on the last drive, they just couldn't get it done, and they lost by a play. But that's the thing. They dug themselves such a deep hole in that first game that they needed to be perfect in that second half. Kind of similar to in the second game as well. Bears offense was not good up until the late stages of the fourth quarter, where, again, Caleb Williams led him down the field. They got the touchdown on 4th and goal to Walker. They got the onside. They kicked a field goal. They went overtime. Then they threw the bomb to DJ Moore. So it's like once they're on, but it just takes them so long to get going. So I want to see the Bears, like you said, start the game off hot.
Yeah.
March down the field. Let Swift and Monangai just absolutely run through the Packers defense and get in the end zone. I think that's going to be huge for the Bears to start quick. So this is, to me, that's a huge indicator of who's going to win this game. Bears, Packers. Everybody watching knows the history behind these teams, knows the hatred behind these teams. There is no love lost between these two teams. No. Absolutely not. If you think the Packers aren't looking for revenge after a few weeks ago, you're sadly mistaken. This is going to be a fun game. This is the biggest Bears game in 15 years, I would argue.
Yeah.
I am very, very excited for this game, and it's going to be cinema. Absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema. I wanted to go back to the bracket because I'm looking at it right now, NFL.com. So we would either face San Francisco or Philly for the
So you're just saying the Rams are going to just destroy the Panthers? Yeah. I mean, they're 10-point road favorites. So that should tell you how much
I just do not think.
Honestly, we should both be the biggest Bryce Young fans.
Yeah, we should be.
We both be root for Bryce Young. Panthers, do us one more favor, please.
Please.
Thank you for Caleb Williams. Do us one more favor.
Please.
No, I agree with you. I think the Rams will handle the Panthers
100%
considerably.
Yeah.
But Niners versus Eagles is a good matchup.
It is.
I don't know who wins that game.
I don't know either. Yeah.
Game's in Philly. Philly, I would say, Niners are very banged up right now.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they've got like me and you playing linebacker right now.
They really do.
It's rough. So I don't know who I'll pick in that game, honestly.
Yeah,
that's a really good one. So I guess that would determine whether or not we play the Rams or the 49ers, hence we win.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to spend too much energy necessarily predicting that. Not to say that you're wrong to think ahead a little bit, but
sure. No.
The Bears should not be thinking ahead. The Bears should be thinking about how are we going to beat Green Bay on Saturday? How are we going to sack Jordan Love? And how is Caleb Williams going to how big do we want to build the Caleb Williams statue outside of Soldier Field when he beats Green Bay? So, Justin, is there anything else that you think is a big storyline going into this game. You mentioned Trayvon Diggs, so I thought was interesting. He has statistically been one of the worst corners this year.
Yeah.
Do you put that more kind of on Matt Eberflus and his absolute inability to be an NFL caliber head coach, or do you think that maybe he's just got at that age where a defensive back kind of just cannot compete physically anymore, and maybe he's not the guy he was a few years ago?
I think he's not the guy he was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Because I'm really sad I'm going to say this, but to give Matt Eberflus credit, the Cowboys they weren't terrible this year, but they weren't horrible. They had a couple of games when they looked really, really well, and there's a reason why the Cowboys let go of him. It wasn't, Jerry Jones did not see any value in Diggs and said, hey, I already know they're going to do a bunch of clean house. They're going to do a bunch of cleaning up this offseason, but that's why he was let go. I don't think it was anything to do with Matt Eberflus, which is crazy for me to actually say right now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think when you look at the team overall, I think for the Packers it makes sense because they're obviously Micah Parsons' teammate. He's not the same guy of what he once was before, but he still has that experience. So I think that's the main reason of why they.
I thought it was interesting too that the Packers were the only team that put in a claim for him.
Yeah.
I think that speaks more towards their desperation more than it does necessarily the ability of Trayvon Diggs. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I think another storyline going into this game that doesn't really affect us, but I think it would be cool to see the Green Bay Packers burn. Malik Willis has played really well the last couple of weeks. Jordan Love will be the starter in this game. I would be shocked if Malik Willis takes any snaps against the Bears. What happens if Jordan Love plays bad and they lose?
Yeah.
Is there going to be a offseason of controversy in Green Bay of, hey, maybe we should ride with Malik Willis again? I mean,
I don't
know. I think Jordan Love is a good quarterback. I also think Matt LaFleur is a good head coach. By the way, Matt LaFleur also is not under contract beyond this year. So say they get embarrassed in the first round, well, all of a sudden you got a quarterback controversy and you got a head coach without a contract.
Yeah.
Things could go really south in Green Bay.
It could.
If the Bears, really take care of business on Saturday. And again, I'm not saying that the Bears are going to absolutely mop the floor with them, but I'm saying that would be really funny and I really want that to happen. But at the same time, a Bears victory in any form could be kind of disastrous for the Packers. I mean, that could be the end of an era for Green Bay, and I would be glad for it. I'd like to see both those guys go. They make our life harder as Bears fans. But, Justin, I do have to update the audience on something very sad. The perfect record was broken last night. I was crushed. I cried for several hours. It just was not, it's not my year apparently. 16-1, got to be better next year. We'll get them next year, and I'll be perfect. But shout out the Bears for absolutely crumbling in the last week of the season and ruining my perfect streak. But it's okay. But now we start a new season.
We do, yeah. Postseason.
Postseason.
There we go. Yeah.
I'm going to go perfect in the postseason. Say that 5 times fast.
I'm not even going to try.
Justin, do you want to go first or do you want me to lead this off?
No, I'll go first. So I think this game is going to be I feel like it's going to be very similar to the San Francisco game. Hopefully not 40-42 because that means both defenses will be trash, and I want our defense to be a little bit better. But I do think, being at home, having that playoff atmosphere, we've been able pretty much all season long, even if we do go down early in the first and second half, that third and fourth quarter we're able to find a way. And I think that has been the most instilling thing that has really gave me confidence, about with this team and, how they're able to still be in it. But, I think for my score prediction, I'm going to go, obviously, the Bears will advance. And I'm going to go 31-26. I feel like it's going to be a shootout, and I feel like it's going to be close. But I feel like, and that was the thing that I was telling you yesterday while we were watching the game, was they just need one big defensive stop. Whether if it was
we kept predicting it to come and it just never did.
Yeah. I mean, if you technically want to say it came during the fourth quarter when Byard got the interception, you could. But that's what we need. And I would say pretty much in all the games that we've won, we've been able to get that big play and win the game. So I think that'll be the biggest X factor is we got to get that big defensive play somehow in the first 4 quarters. somewhere.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't know that it'll be a shootout in terms of like what happened with us and the 49ers a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I just looked at the weather. The weather's going to be 39 degrees. That's not typical like Bears weather in January. And even if it was, the Packers are equally as equipped to handle the cold as the Bears. They play in freezing temperatures as well.
Yeah.
So I think for the Bears, this is going to be a game that maybe isn't as high scoring as we think. And I know a lot of people have predicted a lot what you just said, Justin, of shootout, touchdown, 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 touchdown. I just think in a playoff scenario, divisional team, I mean, it's going to get physical, it's going to get scrappy. I think that there's going to be a level of intensity that we have not seen from either of these teams this year. I mean, both teams feel scorned. The Bears just lost last week, and the Packers are going to try to avenge their loss from a couple of weeks ago against us. I mean, this is just good old classic Bears-Packers rivalry. I think we are going to see, like I said, absolute 100% intensity. We're going to see people flying around. I don't know that, this is a, shootout. I think that this is a lower scoring game. I'm going to go with 23-20. Give me the Bears. The Bears.
The Bears.
Give me the Bears to beat the Packers 23-20. I think it comes down to a fourth quarter where the Bears, prove that they're the better team over Green Bay. They are just making more plays. Maybe they get a key stop, like we said. And I think it comes down to a Cairo Santos game winner.
Yeah.
He's the hero of Chicago. Caleb's the hero of Chicago. The Mount Rushmore of Chicago is now Ben Johnson, Cairo Santos, Caleb Williams, Colston Loveland, throw him in. Or no, Kyle Monungai, because everyone loves Kyle Monungai. But I think 23-20 Bears. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
Scrappy, physical, divisional football. A couple big plays sprinkled in there. Give me the Bears by 3. That's what I got, Justin. So
cool.
I am very excited for this game. I'm incredibly superstitious, so I'm going to have to find which sweatshirt's going to work for this week.
Yeah.
Clearly, my beige polo did not work yesterday. So, Justin, I think that wraps it up for this episode of Bears Talk. Biggest Bears game in 15 years, inbound. We got T-minus, 5 days?
Yeah.
So, it'll be a long week, but it'll be worth the wait. So, thank you guys for watching. We're going to see you guys next weekend after the Bears advance to the divisional round of the playoffs. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace out.